And it's Ken Kraetzer at the DMA and Then conference in Las Vegas. I have a chance to talk to our first keynote speaker of the day, Fernando Machado, CMO at BurgerKing. And Fernando, you had some great comments about how to make your brand stand out. And first thing that you said, you had 5 points. First thing is know your brand. And why is that so important to start?
I think that if you want to make your brand stand out, it's easy. I think that the hard part is how do you make the brand stand out and connect back to the brand. You know what I mean? Like standing out for the sake of standing out may create like a good joke or something that people talk about, but what you really want is to make sure that that feeling, that sentiment, or that message connects back to your brand. And I think that you only be able to connect it back to your brand if you know what your brand is about. So that's why probably like the most important thing, and that's why it's kind of like point number one, is making sure that you know what your brand is about.
Very good. And you talked about taking risks. You had an amazing ad you ran on April 1st about a chocolate Whopper that you said generated 3 billion impressions. Tell us about what it's like to create an ad that you're really taking a risk.
I think that so after you know what your brand is about, you need to stand out. Because you're not going to just do communication that's plain vanilla, ordinary, boring, because you may care about it, but people out there, they will not care about it. So we really need to do something that's different. And anything that's different will feel weird, will feel different, right? I mean, to do something that you've done before, that's when you don't have to fear, because you've done that before. Like we are always trying to do something that is different, that's unique, that will make us feel uncomfortable, and that's what some people consider to be risky, right? I mean, because you're taking a risk. Every time you do something different, it will have some risk involved, but we believe that what's even riskier than doing that is to doing something that's plain vanilla, boring, ordinary. So having that feeling of being uncomfortable, of fear, or embracing risk is a need if you really want to stand out and be successful. At least that's how we at BurgerKing, that's how we think.
And you mentioned about the importance of having a team in your organization when you're trying to develop a campaign to get the organization behind the opportunity. Why is the sense of team in an organization and developing communication so important?
I think that if you want to embrace something that's different and do something that makes you uncomfortable, I think it will be really key that you have a strong creative partner, like on the agency side, because you guys will be fighting the good fight together. And I think it's important that you galvanize the whole organization behind it, because then you're going to go you're going to fire all cylinders at the same time and push the campaign, push the idea as strong as you can. Sometimes people have a strong idea, but they don't go all in on the idea. So you fail to have the impact that idea could have had. So that's why it's so important that you have a great creative partner, that you're true partner to your agencies. You need that. I mean, they will back you up. You are going to back them up. A lot of uncertainty, doing things different is not easy. So you want to have that connection with your agency partners and internally, so that we could go all in with the bigger and bold ideas that will come from that relationship.
Very good. Now, at CBSIServices, we worked on the payments industry for 30 years, backing up some of the largest credit card issuers in the country. What are your customers saying about how they want to pay for your product, debit card, credit card, cash, or even on a mobile app?
Yeah, I think it varies a lot depending on the country you are in. I think that in many markets that are probably more advanced, even than the US, many of the payments are done either with plastic or with plastic through mobile app or through self-ordering kiosk. In the case of fast food, QSR, I think that the US still has, in terms of fast food, which is the category I work on, will probably progress a lot in the next few years, and you have even more people using kiosk, delivery, mobile app to do the transaction in terms of fast food. So that will probably only grow from here.
Hey, final thought I always like to ask my guests, just tell us a little bit about the path that you found in your career to lead to CMO at BurgerKing.
Yeah, so I actually, like, believe it or not, I started as a mechanical engineer. That's what I studied, in college. I got an internship at Unilever, and this is like 22, 23 years ago. So I started working in a factory in Unilever in Brazil. I worked in the factory for 2 years as an intern. Then probably the first time I heard the word marketing was when I was doing that job. And marketing at Unilever is business, and I always thought that and my understanding from marketing back then was that you would probably need to have a strong quantitative background and a kind of like an emotion, artsy, qualitative background. And I thought I was that type of guy. I always loved art, photography, drawing. So I convinced them to allow me to go to marketing, and they were crazy enough to allow that to happen. So I was abducted by the dark side of marketing at early stages of my career. And then I spent 18 years at Unilever in different countries, in Mexico, Brazil, in New York, London. I know it's long, but it never felt long because I was changing brands, changing countries. And then after 18 years there, plus 2 years of 18 years with the internship, I thought it was time to do something different. So I called BurgerKing. I always loved the brand. I was always a huge fan of the products and the brand itself. And for the past 5 years, I first did like head of global marketing at BurgerKing, and then around a year and a half ago, I became the global CMO for the brand. And it's a really fun brand. I'm happy to be there. There is no dull moment. We have a very strong marketing team. We have very strong agencies, and we are fighting the good fight for creativity.
Very good. I was talking to a former chairman of the DMA this past week in New York, and he said he was a mechanical engineering major in college as well. Fernando Machado, great presentation, keynote to get us started here at the DMA, and then great to meet you. Best wishes.
Thank you so much. Thanks for the interview.
Our pleasure. This is Ken Kraetzer for CBSI Services at the DMA and Then conference in Las Vegas.
Done.